David Thornton here. Today I want to show you how to make beef stroganoff. My mom made this for me my whole life, and so I learned how to make it from her. It's very good stuff and not very hard to make, not a whole bunch of ingredients, but let's go over the ingredients. All right, we're going to start off with about a pound of round steak, and we'll end up cutting it in about 1/4 inch strips and 2 or 3 inch long pieces, and then coating them in flour. Okay, I've got about a pound of round steak. I've got 3 small cloves of garlic. You need at least two good cloves of garlic, or 2 or 3. I've got 6 mushrooms. You want to end up with about a cup of sliced mushrooms. You want to end up with about 1/4 to 1/3 cup of chopped onion. I've got a half a stick of butter that we're going to cook the meat in. I've got a 14.5 ounce can, or about 2 cups of beef broth, a 1/3 cup of flour that's going to go on the meat, a dash of Worcestershire sauce to go in at the very end, a cup of sour cream, and I've got half of a 12 ounce bag of wide egg noodles. And that's about all there is to it. So let's do a little bit of prep work, and then we'll get right to cooking. All right, I got everything prepped. I got the mushrooms chopped up. I got the onions chopped up. Got the meat sliced about a 1/4 inch thick in 2 to 2.5, 3 inch strips. And I've got the pasta going. We want the egg noodles to boil no longer than 7 minutes. There's the timer on that right now. We're going to take these egg noodles off the stove. Go ahead, drain those. And we're just going to let those sit on the stove till we get ready. All right, now we're going to get our butter melting and get this meat going. I got a half a stick of butter. All right, while the butter's melting, we're going to take the strips of meat and put it in that good 1/3 cup of flour and just coat the meat with the flour. Now I do want to season that a little bit with some salt and pepper. Salt, a little pepper. All right, then just go ahead and try to get all that flour to stick to the meat, because that's what's going to help thicken up our sauce as it cooks down. Now we're going to put the meat in the skillet over here with the butter and just kind of brown it a little bit, get it started good, and then we'll add our beef broth and let this simmer for about 30 to 40 minutes until the meat is good and tender and everything else is kind of thickened up just a little bit. Butter's almost melted. Right now I've got this on kind of high heat. I got it on about 8. All right, butter's pretty much melted. Go ahead and just put the meat and any of the rest of that flour that's in there. It's not going to hurt a thing. All right, like I said, we just want to brown this meat on high heat. Go ahead and mix that butter around with that flour. It's just going to kind of make a roux. And then Let's just get this meat good and brown. Anything that burns, or not burns, but kind of browns and sticks to the bottom is only going to make it taste better in the long run. All right, let's let this meat brown, and then we'll add the mushrooms and the onion. All right, the meat's been browning for right at 5 minutes. Looking real good. I'm still on high heat. I'm going to turn this down, and we're going to go ahead and put in our onions and the mushrooms and the garlic. Uh-oh. Get my bearing off there. All right, I used 3 because they were kind of small. All right, let's just cook this for just a minute or 2 until those onions get kind of soft and transparent. Now I'm going to add this 1 can of beef broth, but before it's over, we may add a little more water. If you got a little more beef broth, that'll be fine. But we want to make sure it don't get dry. We want plenty of juice in there, but we're going to start off with this 14.5 ounce can of beef broth. The meat looks really good. Kind of charred, brown. The sour cream will go in there towards the very, very end. Helps when your stove doesn't go off. This is an induction stovetop, by the way, and I love it. It's controllable like gas, but fast like electric. Sometimes when the pan slides over and hits the controls, it'll kind of make it turn off or turn the timer on, but other than that, it's wonderful. All right, our onions are looking good. They're just cooked just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and add the beef broth. All right, I'm going to go ahead and add about 1/3 of a can of water with this right now because it's going to cook down. It's going to cook for a while. All right, let's go ahead and hit it with a little salt and pepper one more time. Bring this to a boil, and then we'll let this simmer on low medium heat for about 30 minutes. All right, the stroganoff has been simmering with the lid on for about 15 minutes. We're going to take the lid off and let it simmer for about another 15 minutes and reduce just a little bit more. I haven't added any more water or anything yet. So far, so good. All right, we've been simmering for about another 15 minutes, 30 minutes altogether. 15 with the lid on, 15 with the lid off. Now I have stirred this, but only a couple of times while it was simmering. And you can see it's got kind of a crust on top, not a crust, but just a film. That's all good. It's just going to help make it thicker. The little bit of stuff on the bottom that's sticking is just going to add flavor, and it's just making it better. The thickness and everything is getting just like we want it. We're going to stir this just a little bit more to get all that good tasting stuff off the bottom. And then we're going to add our sour cream, let it simmer for about 5 more minutes, dash of Worcestershire, and we'll be ready to eat. All right, it's been simmering for 30 minutes altogether. We're going to go ahead and add our sour cream. 1 cup of sour cream. All right, we're still simmering on right at 3.5. So go ahead and stir that sour cream in there. Can still scraping the stuff off the bottom, any that might be there. So we don't want to burn it, but it's okay for the stuff on the bottom. It's just adding flavor. All right, we got our sour cream mixed in there fairly well. You don't have to mix it to death, but we're going to turn this up on 4, and we're going to let that sit there and simmer for 5 more minutes, and we'll be ready to plate this. All right, we've added the sour cream and let it simmer for another 5 minutes. We're going to add just a good dash of Worcestershire sauce. Give that just a little stir. Still reducing and still getting the good stuff on the bottom, which is what we want. It looks and smells fantastic. The gravy's thick, but not too thick. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn this off. We're going to put ourselves a good handful of these wide egg noodles on the plate. Got to get plenty of that gravy. Well, there you have Dave's Beef Stroganoff. Really, really good stuff. Once again, I'm David Thornton. Appreciate you watching my video. I hope you enjoy the food, and thanks again for your time. I appreciate it.